What happens when an airplane engine fails in mid-flight? A question none of us want to face, yet the chilling reality of mechanical failures in aircraft propulsion systems is a topic of grave importance. Consider the fate of American Airlines Flight 191 in 1979. Engine detachment led to a catastrophe, claiming 273 lives. This tragic event underscores the dire consequences of mechanical failures and the imperative for stringent safety protocols. Let's dive into the chilling chronology of this ill-fated flight. May 25, 1979, began as an ordinary day for the passengers of American Airlines Flight 191. As the day dawned, 273 passengers and crew boarded the DC-10 at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, a bustling hub known for its punctuality and efficiency. The flight was destined for Los Angeles International Airport, a journey that was supposed to take a little over 4 hours. Families, business people, vacationers, a microcosm of America itself was represented among the passengers. They settled into their seats, stowed their luggage, and readied themselves for the flight. The crew performed their pre-flight checks, the pilots maneuvered the plane onto the runway, and the control tower gave them the green light for takeoff. The roar of the engines filled the cabin as the plane began to accelerate down the runway. But this ordinary day was about to take a tragic turn. Just seconds after takeoff, disaster struck. As American Airlines Flight 191 lifted off the runway, the unthinkable happened. The left engine, a colossal piece of machinery designed to propel the aircraft through the skies, detached. Not just a simple mechanical failure, but a catastrophic detachment that sent shockwaves through the structure of the DC-10. The engine didn't just fall away, instead it flipped over the wing, ripping out a section of the leading edge. In its wake, it left a trail of hydraulic lines severed and critical flight control systems damaged. The plane, suddenly unbalanced and severely crippled, continued to climb. But it was a struggle against gravity it was destined to lose. Inside the cockpit, the pilots were wrestling with a situation no training manual had prepared them for. The warning lights were a Christmas tree of alerts, signaling problems that made no sense. The engine was gone, but the cockpit instruments were indicating it was still functioning, a cruel irony of the cascading system failures. Despite the chaos, the flight crew fought valiantly to control the aircraft. The captain, an experienced pilot with thousands of flight hours, attempted to level the plane, hoping to limp back to the airport, but the damage was too severe. The flight controls, crippled by the engine's departure, offered little response. With the engine gone, the plane's fate was sealed. In the blink of an eye, a day that began like any other, transformed into one of the darkest in aviation history. American Airlines Flight 191 was now little more than a massive projectile, hurtling towards the Earth without any means of propulsion. The aircraft, once a symbol of human ingenuity and the freedom of the skies, was now a harbinger of impending disaster. The impact was devastating. The mighty DC-10, a marvel of modern engineering, met the Earth not as a graceful bird of the sky, but as a wounded titan. The crash site, an open field just short of O'Hare International Airport, became a scene of shocking destruction. The plane, once capable of carrying hundreds across continents, was now a twisted wreckage, unrecognizable amidst a sea of debris. The resulting fire was an inferno, fueled by thousands of gallons of jet fuel. Flames roared high into the sky, painting a haunting tableau against the setting sun. The heat was so intense it could be felt miles away, a grim testament to the sheer power of the catastrophe that had taken place. Yet even in the face of such a disaster, humanity's resilience shone through. Emergency services were on the scene almost immediately. Firefighters, paramedics, police officers, they all rushed towards the danger, their minds focused on one thing: saving lives. Their bravery and determination were a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, a reminder that even in our darkest hours, we can still find the strength to push forward. The public's response too was immediate. People from all walks of life came together, offering their support in any way they could. It was a stark reminder of our collective strength and the inherent goodness that resides in us all. The crash site was a scene of utter devastation. But in the face of that devastation, the human spirit remained unbroken. Despite the tragedy and the loss, it became a testament to our resilience, a poignant reminder of our capacity for compassion and courage in the face of overwhelming adversity. In the aftermath of the crash, the question on everyone's mind was, why did this happen? As the dust settled, the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, launched an exhaustive investigation to unravel the mystery behind the catastrophe. The investigators turned their attention to the detached engine, the smoking gun in this tragic scenario. Detailed examination revealed that the engine and pylon assembly had been improperly maintained during a procedure 8 weeks prior to the accident. Instead of disassembling the engine and pylon separately as recommended by McDonnell Douglas, the manufacturer of the DC-10, a shortcut method was used. The engine and pylon were removed as one unit to save time, a practice that had become surprisingly common across the industry. This shortcut, however, placed enormous strain on the pylon mount assembly. Over time, it caused small, undiscovered cracks to form, which ultimately led to the catastrophic failure on that fateful day in May. The investigators concluded that the engine didn't fall off in the traditional sense, but rather it was forced up and over the wing due to these structural failures. The investigation also highlighted significant shortcomings in safety protocols. Although the flight crew had trained for single-engine failures, they were unprepared for the unique aerodynamic effects of an engine detachment. This was a blind spot in the industry's understanding of flight safety, a gap that the disaster of Flight 191 painfully exposed. The NTSB's final report was a wake-up call for the aviation industry. It led to sweeping changes in maintenance procedures, with the shortcut method being banned outright. Rigorous checks were implemented to detect even the smallest of cracks, and safety protocols were revamped to include training for scenarios like the one faced by the crew of Flight 191. The investigation into the crash of American Airlines Flight 191 was more than just an inquiry into a single accident. It was a stark reminder of the relentless pursuit of safety in aviation and the continuous learning that comes from tragedy. The findings would change aviation safety forever. The crash of American Airlines Flight 191 had far-reaching consequences. It was a moment that shook the aviation industry, prompting a critical re-evaluation of safety procedures and maintenance checks. The disaster's legacy is a sobering one, but it's also a story of learning and evolution towards a safer future for air travel. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, undertook a comprehensive review of its safety and maintenance regulations. The agency found that the procedure used to remove and install the engine and pylon assembly, a process known as forklift procedure, was fundamentally flawed and did not meet safety standards. Consequently, the FAA banned the forklift procedure and mandated that airlines adopt the safer wing pylon procedure for engine removal and installation. The crash also led to significant changes in the way aircraft are inspected. The FAA introduced the concept of aging aircraft rules, which required rigorous inspections of older aircraft to ensure their airworthiness. This was a significant step forward, as it recognized that an airplane's age could impact its safety. Moreover, the FAA also introduced more stringent training for flight crews on handling engine failures during takeoff. Today, all commercial pilots undergo extensive training to handle such scenarios, a direct result of the lessons learned from Flight 191. The ripple effect of Flight 191 was felt not only in the United States, but also globally. Around the world, aviation authorities took note and made changes to their own safety regulations and procedures. The disaster served as a wake-up call, highlighting the need for continuous reassessment and improvement of safety measures in the aviation industry. But perhaps the most significant legacy of Flight 191 is the impact it had on the public's perception of air travel. It served as a stark reminder of the potential dangers inherent in aviation and underscored the critical importance of safety. It reinforced the belief that no matter how advanced our technology may be, there can be no compromise when it comes to safety. In the end, the legacy of Flight 191 is twofold. It's a tragic story of a disaster that claimed the lives of 273 people, but it's also a story of learning, of progress, and of an industry that took a terrible tragedy and used it as a catalyst for positive change. The tragedy of Flight 191 serves as a stark reminder of the importance of rigorous maintenance and strict adherence to safety protocols.